Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words. I'm Christine Brunelli, and I help women unstuck themselves. Today we're talking about bulimia, and we're hearing from my guest, Doriliz Perez, who is being so open, real, raw, and transparent with you that you are going to be blown away at the 15-minute mark. Stick with her. She shares her awareness, her recovery, and now how she's helping women as she's landed on the other side. Let's get started. Welcome, Doriliz, to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words. I'm so excited to have you here and for you to share your story. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. So excited.
So take us on a journey. Tell us what happened. You struggled with bulimia. When did it start? What happened? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Let me take you to the beginning. Of course, after you have been 8 years bulimic, then you started like questioning what happened in my life that got me here. Just trying to get out of it. So you start thinking. So when I was little, I remember that every time I do something good, or maybe I have good grades or whatever, they always reward me with food. Like, oh, let's go to eat. You got an A. Yay. So it's your birthday. Let's go to eat. Yay. So then every time I do something that I was not supposed to do, they say, okay, you're not going to have any dessert today or whatever. So it just started like that, like those little things that you think is you're disciplining your child, but then it actually like gave me something to feel bad around food, If I don't do this well, like I will not get my reward or whatever. So when I started, all my life, I was very heavy. And I'm going to say heavy. I'm a Latina, so I'm big bone, very, very tall and hips and,
All
so
things.
So I was very big all my life. Since I was 10 years old, I started in Weight Watcher because usually I was the biggest one in my school, the biggest one in my family, in both sides of my family. So I know this diet culture all my life. So I had a kid very young, like I was 19 when I knew I was going to have my baby boy. And I had it. I had Ricardo, that's my boy. And I had 90 more pounds that I was supposed to have because of my pregnancy. So I decided to start a diet. And I remember that my brother was doing Atkins at that time. I think it was 2002. It was very, very, hip, that diet. Everyone is doing Atkins and, So I started doing that diet and I dropped like 100 pounds in like 7 months or something like that. I was very, very strict with the diet, only protein, nothing carbs and whatever. And then one day it just stopped working. It just stopped. I don't know. Everybody's different. Mine, it just stopped working, and it doesn't matter if I eat only chicken or ham or any protein. I just started getting weight, a lot of weight. So I panicked. And I remember one time I was with my cousin, and they were talking about taking pills to go to the bathroom. So laxative. I think, yeah, that's the name, right? Yeah, in English.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Every time I think I ate something that I should not, I took a laxative. And it started like building up. So I was afraid to get all my weight again because I had dropped like 100 pounds. So I thought I was looking amazing.
Yeah.
So it started like that. And then I really, really, really don't remember the first time I did it. But I know that at one time I ate something that I was too ashamed. I think it was like two combinations of something, And then I feel so bad that I threw up. And it was very difficult at the first time because, no one liked to throw up. It's uncomfortable. You feel the pressure in your face, and it's so uncomfortable. And it started like that, just one time, then 2 times a week, then 3 times a week, and then it was every day, 2 or 3 times a day. And I remember that I've been in all kind of doctors. I remember telling my mom it was a very difficult moment because I know I was doing some, imagine, you have a kid and she told you that she's bulimic and you don't know what to do.
Yes.
Actually. And I was that child telling my mom that I was bulimic.
And how old were you?
I was old. I had a son. I was like 21, 22.
Okay.
And so I was supposed to have my thing together. I had my full-time job, very good job. I was doing my master's degree. I had my son. I was living by myself with my kid. I think that everything started because there were too many changes going at the same time. I didn't know how to handle everything. So I decided to keep everything in control by my food, And when I started, I knew that I needed help, but I didn't want to take any pills. I was against it because my mom, since I have memory, she has like a I don't know how to say that. It's like a bowl of pills and pills and pills that she take every day.
Yes.
I remember that I had to help her sort. This is AM. This is PM. This is with food. This is, and I was like, why do you have to take so many pills? And she always tell me, I have a blood pressure. I have diabetes. I have a thyroid.
Yes.
Thyroid.
Yeah.
She has a lot of things. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want my body to function the way it's supposed to.
Yes.
But in that transition, I started to take in different kind of pills. So my anxiety goes, in a better level. And because I was always so energetic and I want to do things my way, I know I was a little bit, my character, I was always angry.
Okay.
And I was very explosive and didn't have control of my emotions. And if something bothered me, I always like spit it out. And, sometimes you can hurt people that way.
Sure.
And it happens, of course, I was always hungry, but I didn't feel the hunger, And I in the course of the years, I started looking for help. I went to psychiatrists, to psychologists. I don't know if you know, but here in Puerto Rico, we don't have a place you can go to treat eating disorders. We don't.
Wow.
And I know that is something that Puerto Rico, it's really, 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 well, we need that. We don't have places like in US that you can go and be there 24/7 and they'll help you what you should eat, what you should do. They monitor you. We don't have that here.
Mm.
And it was very difficult for me because I didn't know what to do or where to go. So I even enrolled on Alcoholical Anonymous. I don't know how to say that in English. Alcohólicos Anónimos. I don't know, the ones that have a lot of, they have problem with the drinking problems.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yes. Alcoholic Anonymous. They have a book that is just like 7 levels of something you work through your
addiction or whatever.
Addiction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's the only thing I have here. So I went there and started reading this book, the Alcoholic Anonymous book. And I started the process with that. Then I found an overeating anonymous group. And then, well, I'm going to enroll in that too to see, I was looking what I can do to get out of this, because it was something. I know I am an intelligent woman. I know I'm a powerful woman, and I'm a leader, and I'm a lot of things. But when I was submerged in that, I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I question myself, how can you be so intelligent and so successful in a lot of things, and you cannot get out of something that should be so simple? And I know this is obviously was more mental than anything else. And I started like looking for answers. So I enrolled in life coaching. So I'm a life coach.
Okay.
I enrolled in neurolinguistics classes. So I took that course too. I just enrolled in everything I could. So I tried to learn how my mind works so I can get out of it.
Yes.
And when it did really start feeling like less heavy was when I started talking about it in a group. I decided with all my fears, because no one is going to be proud of talking about an eating disorder. Believe me, it brings you shame, of course, because, oh my God, this person cannot control this. What other people will think about you. I decided to call I remember my science teacher in high school, because I remember that one time in high school, we talked about this, about eating disorders.
Wow.
And there's a specific class, I don't know if you have that in US, that it calls, in Puerto Rico, it's called salud, like health.
Yes.
And we talk about a lot of things. And I remember they talk about eating disorders. So I contacted her and I told her, his name is Rosa. Rosa, I having this and I want to talk about it. I have this problem, and I think if I can help other young people to get over it and to know that I'm a normal person like everyone, and I have it. It's not something that it's specific to someone, specific gender, specific socio environment or whatever. It can happen to anyone. So she told me, oh, of course, come. And I started doing that every year. I started talking about my story, even though I was still a bulimic. Even though I was still a bulimic, I didn't tell anyone that I was still a bulimic, but I started telling my story, what I do, how many meals I ate at the time, how bad I felt, what I have accomplished in life. And I started talking about my story. And then one year, I remember it was October 19, 2010. I felt my heart stopping. I don't know if you can understand what I'm telling you, but I was like talking like this to you, and I started feeling my heart.
The heartbeat?
The heartbeats. I started like feeling that the heartbeats was every time less strong.
Okay. That's scary.
Yeah, it was so scary, Christine. You have no idea. I remember that I was in a place that they were giving a speech or something, and I just jumped off my seat and I said, something is happening to me. And people start saying, Doris, are you okay? You're getting white. I was like feeling like I was gonna fall, and I start breathing, and I was start telling everyone, I need help. I need to go to the hospital. I need help. And then I remember I'm gonna start crying. Sorry.
Mm,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Okay. Sorry. It's like I'm there again, you know?
Yeah.
Um I'm so grateful of my body, even though I treat my body so bad.
Mm,
So I remember I was going my way to the hospital. My boyfriend at that time was getting me there. And I remember just screaming in the top of my lungs, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please help me. I promise you I would never do this again. I don't want to die. I was just screaming because I know if I stopped screaming, I would go. And I didn't want to go. So it was so scary. I got to the hospital, and I don't know if you know, but my potassium, I didn't have any potassium in my body.
oh my.
So my electrolytes
Yes.
were it's not there. So all my body was suffering from I don't know how to say this in English. I'm sorry. Calambre is like when the muscles contract, cramp.
Yes. Cramping.
Yes, my whole body. I'm telling you, from my neck to my feet, they're all cramped at the same time.
Yes.
And I thought I would thought I was, my hands, my fingers, it all hurt so much. I thought I really was going to die. So I get to the hospital and they all saw me, and they start like, I remember it was like a Grey's Anatomy scene that everyone goes out and take me in a cart, and they just start like doing massages on me.
Yes.
One doctor was trying to put my IV, and like three more were doing massages all over my body, so my body can relax again and get back to normal. And I remember I was there like, I don't know, 10 hours. And everyone told me, go back to sleep, don't worry. And I didn't want to close my eyes because I thought I would never open them again.
Yeah.
And it was so scary. And I remember one of them came to me and told me, what are your eyes so big? Like, calm yourself. And I don't want them to close.
Yes.
It was so scary.
Is it okay if I interrupt you right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Doriliz, you have shared oh my gosh, this story is so important to be shared. And I'm so glad that you said you didn't start healing until you started speaking about it. And what you're describing right now, if you have low potassium, so your heart, low potassium, for my listeners, it's called hypokalemia. And hypokalemia, you need potassium in your blood. The sodium potassium pump keeps your heart pumping. So you don't have potassium, your heart's going to slow down, but your muscles cramp. There are so many different reasons for low potassium. But if you are purging your food, of course, your body doesn't have time to absorb any of it. It needs to sit in your intestinal tract to be taken up in absorption. So you were eating and purging the food before your body had a chance to absorb any nutrients, right? When I want to go back in your story before we get into, this is a pivotal moment. You're afraid you're going to die. So I don't want to leave that, but I want to go back before we get too far. And I want, if you could share, if I have a listener right now that's saying, I'm not struggling with binging and purging or bulimia, but I might have a daughter who is. What should she be looking out for if she's a mom that has a child that could potentially be doing this? What are some habits that they might want to look out for?
Okay. Of course, I've struggled of it, so I can devise a mile the person that I know is struggling with this kind of disorder
You can
or
see it a
any
mile
eating
away.
disorder.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see it right away. But I will say, just look out if they're not eating in the family meeting or in the birthday, because usually when you do this, you're doing it on your own.
Mm.
So if you are in a family gathering on a birthday and you see that everyone is eating, but your daughter is not, maybe she's waiting for the moment to be alone to do it,
Mm-hmm.
because they feel shameful to do it in front of people. Usually when you do this, you don't have a pause. You start eating and eating and eating and eating and eating. And it doesn't look pretty. So I will say, just if you have any kind of doubt that someone is in your family is having this kind of issue, just see this kind of habits. If they decide not to eat now, I will eat later when everyone is gone or whatever. That's one. Second, I would say the mood swings. I was very, very moody. I was very explosive in my emotion, and I was not like that, So it's like, if she's always like that, well, you're like, okay, it's common. But if she's not like that and she has this kind of moody things, that is also something you should like check on. And of course, what really triggers me, or what did really triggers me, was that there were too many changes in my life at the same time, and I didn't have the ability to control them.
Yes.
That's something, and not because they're gonna have an eating disorder because of it, but maybe any other, because I think eating disorder was my addiction. But of course, it can be alcohol, it can be smoking, it can be drugs, it can be sex, it can be anything.
Yes.
So when you know that you have a high school, well, you have a college girl now, but you know that they're gonna start doing a lot of changes all of a sudden, this can be a trigger for anything. So
my daughter, when she developed anorexia, it started with a breakup from a boyfriend.
There you go.
And me hitting pause on a marriage and moving out of the family home, same exact thing. Same thing. Mm-hmm. Everything felt like it was spinning out of control. And the only thing she said to me in recovery, the only thing she could control was food. Mm-hmm. And that's how she managed it. So eating disorders, almost none of them have anything to do with what you look like. It's a source of control. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, of control. And I know, I'm going to say this to you, Christine, but this is something that never ends.
Yes, that's true.
It never ends. It's not that I cannot control. You should control what you eat. And of course, you don't want to eat everything you have in front of you because you want to keep your your person healthy. But the control that you need to have to understand whatever happens to you in life, how to engage on a conversation that is going to be very emotional. That's can be a trigger. Yes. How to face a new job, that can be a trigger. So you really, it's what I tell my divas. I call the people that do my exercise and whatever, I call them divas. And that's I love that. I always tell them, it's not about what you eat. It's about your emotions of whatever you're feeling in that moment. And if you don't have the maturity of controlling that emotion and how to react, it's always going to be a problem. Always.
Yes. We have to become a master of managing our emotions and stress and all of those things so that we don't go back to the crutch that we go to. And that crutch, you said this, that crutch can be anything. And in your case, it was binging and purging, right? So thank you for sharing some of those signs, because I think it's important. I had this happen right under my nose with my daughter, but I was in my own disordered eating, right? I was on my own journey. And so I was messed up and didn't even pay attention. So it can happen right under your nose and you don't even know it. And I am now a mouthpiece I'm out here telling moms, heads up, pay attention. So you are not living at home. You're in your 20s. You have a beautiful son. You're still struggling with bulimia, but you're searching for help, getting certified and licensed in everything you can because you're trying to learn what the heck is going on with me and I don't want to be here. And now it sounds like we're going forward again. You're in the hospital scared to death because your potassium is non-detectable in your body. And so your heart is slowing down, which your heart needs potassium. And you're screaming and your eyes are bugging out because you're afraid, you're truly scared to death that if you stop, using your voice and keeping your eyes open, that you won't wake up. So your will to live is strong, right? You're a fighter. I can already hear that you are just a fighter. What happens next? What did you come out of this in kind of a form of recovery? What was the next thing for you?
Well, this was the breaking point because my recovery started like before. Like, okay, let me explain that. I don't know if I explained correctly. This was my lowest point.
Yes.
But I don't know if someone have told you that, but you always, like every Monday you start a new diet, like, okay, this time I'm going to do it correctly. Okay, this next Monday I'm going to start again. Okay, next Monday, and that you keep going, and it passes a whole year, and you every Monday at starting a new way of life. But imagine that I was for 8 years bulimic, and like for 6 years, in the 6th year, I started like, okay, this month I'm gonna do this. It didn't happen. So, but that's part of the recovery. Like you're willing to do something about it. And obviously it's not going to happen one day to another. But then when this event happened, the 19th of October of 2010, that was my lowest. That was, okay, if I don't do the correct thing right now, I'm not going to have a second opportunity because I felt it. I felt it. So that time I started. Of course, my mom was very scared. They took me to a specialist. I'm not gonna take any pills. I'm gonna pass this as raw as I can. So it was the 3 months of hell, and that's the name.
Oh wow!
It was. I cannot explain. I think that is something that maybe drug addicts can relate because when you try to get off your addiction, and I had panic attacks, and I have an anxiety that I didn't want to be left alone. I didn't want to go to sleep because I thought I would die in my sleep. I started like walking around my house every day from one place to another because I cannot be still. I didn't want to feel my heart because I was afraid. I can feel that it was slowing down.
Sure.
And and then the thing that I think that most people don't understand is if you are an alcoholic, you can avoid places where there are alcohol. If you're a smoker, you just try not to buy some smoking if you're a drug addict. But if you have an addiction with food, it's so difficult because you need to eat every day.
Yes.
So how can and then you're struggling with control because you're a control freak. So you need to let that go too. So it's like, okay, what should I do to keep my recovery, but but having this relationship with food because you have to eat, and then keeping the food inside your body and feeling comfortable with it. It was like, okay, I'm gonna have, if I'm alcoholic, I'm gonna have a drink and that's it. I'm gonna be comfortable with it. It was very, very difficult. So I started like meals that were very, very little. It was very hard for me because I had to do peace that I was gonna gain weight again.
Okay.
And that was something very difficult, like seeing yourself in the mirror and seeing that you're gaining weight. And that's part of the process.
Yes.
And because of course I was not eating. I had a couple of food that I had a mental peace with them. I can eat and stay down. But when I needed to start eating again, like healthy and foods and meals, and then you see that you're starting to gain weight, a lot of things happen in your mind. Like, oh my God, I cannot do this. Huh? My clothes doesn't fit, and everyone is gonna start like telling me, and people started telling me, "Oh, you look a little bit, you have a more weight, right?" And I was like, "Okay, whatever." The conversation that people have with you, not everyone understands that anything, any word you say, it can cause something positive or something negative, So in that time, I was trying to be by myself, trying not to have a lot of people that know that emotionally will drain me or make me feel any kind of emotion that I cannot deal in that moment. So I was only working, getting, studying, and being by myself. I did that like for 3 months. And then I decided that I need something to do. I need something to do with my anxiety, because what I've learned across the years is that I have a lot of anxiety issues. And so I decided to start running. And that's something that actually helped me a lot. And of course, I was starting doing Taekwondo classes with my son because I want to do something with him so I can start I have been 8 years focusing my whole life to food and binging. And I thought that I have lost 8 years of my kid growing up.
Mm.
So I feel so guilty. And I decided to start something that we can do together. And that's how it started doing Taekwondo. And it really helps me a lot.
And you teach
too.
that now?
Yes, it has been like a really crazy thing because I didn't thought in my life that I was going to be teaching Taekwondo right now. I was never in my life. But I've learned the passion of the Taekwondo, the structure, the moral values of it, of being respectful to you and others, to have the courtesy of having thinking of other people and their well-being, and I love all of the martial arts philosophy behind it. And after 11 years, I'm still doing it.
So exercise, it sounds to me, exercise has helped pull you through.
Yeah, that's my medicine every day.
Okay.
Every day.
Okay. And wanting to be a good role model for your son, right? That's the other piece I'm sure plays a role in, you said, I want to go back to that. I missed 8 years because you were so consumed with the bulimia. Mm-hmm. And what a great testimony to hear how exercise can change people. And I will say running, I can't run it. Well, I can run, but I can't run the way I used to because I had a knee surgery and all of these things. Mm-hmm. But running, even if it's just a hard walk, it does change. That endorphin release. It helps. I mean, if you're listening and you're like, I have anxiety, I have an eating disorder, I have a lot in my head, I can't clear my mind. Get out there, get outside, go somewhere, just get your heart rate up, do something hard, physically hard. It changes your brain chemistry so that you can handle exactly what Doriliz is explaining. She just found something that helped unlock all this anxiety, right? It's a help management tool, really.
Yeah. And I didn't take any pills. I'm not saying that you don't have to do it. Yes. If you need to, of course.
Yes.
But I realized that I needed to teach my body can function the way it is. Sometimes you need something, of course, because not everyone is the same. Not everyone has the same body. But I knew that my body can work by itself. If I properly nurture my body, if I train my body, if I give my body the health it needs to work as it's supposed to, I know it will. But it really took me, Christine, 5 years.
So it's not overnight. Definitely not overnight.
It's not overnight. It's not. And how can I expect my body to be perfect in 3 months when I have been 8 years doing him wrong?
Right.
It was patience, which sometimes I don't have, but or anyone has. But it's true. You need patience. You need patience and trust the process and trust that whatever you're doing is going to work at the end. And one day, one of the sun, and you're going to wake up and you're going to see yourself and you're going to say, oh, I did it.
Yes. And you also partnered with people reaching out to your science teachers.
Yes.
I mean, you put yourself out there. So, I mean, really, if you have a daughter, that's different. She's probably, high school kids hide this stuff. They usually won't, right? But you were a mom. You were a young mom. You knew you needed help, and you went out and looked for it. And that was not easy. You had to exhibit bravery to do that. I'm sure you felt scared to death to say, you taught us this in high school. I'm struggling with it. I need to talk about it. And just that step right there, just finding someone to partner with you, just to listen is huge. I mean, that for you, that just speaks to the kind of person you are. You are truly a fighter. You didn't want what was going on and you didn't give up. You were like, nope, I'm going to take this on and I'm going to let my body find its natural balance and let it be perfect the way it is in its own wholeness. So I love this story. You just, it's so encouraging to me because, my daughter is only 4 years post-recovery from anorexia. You said this, it is lifelong. It is lifelong. I was told by her professional care team, she will struggle with this her entire life. Anything that comes up, that's a trigger, could send her back into it. And that is true for any addiction. It's not just an addiction to starvation or an addiction to binging or an addiction to drugs or alcohol or whatever. We have to learn to master these things, these stress managers. And you did it with exercise and accountability, and I love it. So tell my listeners now, you live in Puerto Rico, and you are training women only, divas, you call them. I love it.
Yeah.
I would love for you to share a little bit how my listeners could find you, follow you, connect with you. And I think you have something coming up in early 2022. You have a podcast coming up. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. Well, of course, I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm a Latina, so if any Latina is around here, just follow me up. I do speak English. I struggle, if you can see, but I do. But I speak Spanish. So my course is in Spanish, but I hope, because I really, really, really think that I need to take this message further. Because this, what I started doing this year, I'm going to launch in 2022. It's not only to do exercise and a fitness program that you usually see. It comes with the mental fitness too, because you need to be mentally prepared for whatever you're going to see in the mirror,
You're my Spanish partner. You're in Spanish. I'm doing a similar thing in English because this is what I love. Mindset and our
Yes.
beliefs. We have to shift our beliefs and our energy and what we believe to get healthy. If you can do all the exercise in the world, but if you don't believe, if you believe wrong, if you believe negative about yourself, you're not going to find what you want. You're not going to land in health. I love it. You're like my partner.
Yes, we can partner it up if you want. The thing is that I teach some defense class in women. I teach that too. I visit different houses, and I teach a lot of people, girls that have been in houses that has been violent houses, and I teach them how to defend themselves. But I always tell them, I can teach you defend yourself with one finger. But if you don't feel comfortable in your mind, if you don't feel secure in your body, you will not do anything. So the first thing you need is confidence. And it's not that every day you're going to feel confidence, because I don't wake up every day feeling super confident. I don't know about you.
No.
But it's that you need to understand that you are enough. However, it doesn't matter how you look in the mirror, because we always look with a judgment eye. You need to feel so proud of your body and what it can do, so you can understand that your body can do whatever you tell him to do. I don't know if you get it.
Yes.
But sometimes I have a lot of girls that I cannot do that. It's too difficult for me. It's too much. I'm old. And I'm like, girl, I'm not telling you that you're going to go to the floor and do 30, 40 burpees in the same. I started doing push-up in the wall because I couldn't go to the floor. It's just starting somewhere you feel comfortable for your body. And then you're going to feel confident that you can do something about it. And then you're going to start doing something else.
Love it.
You see? And that's what I teach in my course. It's not only you're going to do exercise with me. And of course, the videos that I do is 10, 15 minutes, because I know if I tell them you're going to be an hour doing exercise, they're not going to do it, live, mom's life.
Right.
So it's 10, 15 minutes every day, different type of videos that you do. And on top of that, every week, we learn something new, things that will help you make this life sustainable.
I love it. Well, if you want to follow Doriliz on Instagram, it's DORILIZ_Diva Athletic. I will put that in the show notes, so you'll be able to find her. And she does speak in Spanish. She does post in Spanish, but you can always hit translate, because her energy, I don't know if you can feel it, but her energy is palpable when she speaks about, she's so passionate, and you're so passionate. And I love that about you, because you have experienced extreme lows. You had a pivotal turning point and had a wake-up call of, oh my gosh, I can't be this way anymore. And catapulted yourself into not only changing and evolving into a better you, but now you're helping other women do it. And that is what I'm all about. And that's what this podcast is all about. I'm so grateful for you being here. Is there anything you would like to leave the listeners with before we end this episode?
Yes, I will only say what I say every time I do exercise, every time I go live. I always tell my girls, my divas, give it all. If it's only 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you give your all, in Spanish is dalo todo, give your all in everything you do, and you always gonna see progress. You see?
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Christine.
Wow. Did I tell you? She's incredible. She speaks from such a real, authentic, raw place, but she's so positive and energetic. I love that about her. If we did not live on opposite sides of the map, I'm positive we would be hanging out on the daily. I really appreciate her message. And if you resonated, if you liked what she had to share, you can find Doriliz on Instagram. I'll give you the information in show notes, but if you're too impatient, you want to know where to find her right now, Doriliz_Diva Athletic. And let me give you the spelling. D as in diva, DORILIZ_Diva Athletic. You can find her on Instagram. She does do a lot of her posts in Spanish, but you can always translate. Some of them are in English. She's incredible. And she has a course launching in 2022 that is going to help women get their fit on, get their mindset on, and overall improve their life. She is someone you definitely want to hang out with if she inspired you in this episode. Thank you so much for being here today. If you liked this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you get notified the next time a new episode releases. And until next time, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.